said that this roster, I hope I'm quoting you right, is a 6-0 roster based on talent, right? First of all, good to see you. Hi, Dan.
Yeah, it's very good to see you. It's very good to see you, man. How you doing, man?
I'm glad some of us dressed like an adult today, Stephen A.
Well, first of all, watch your mouth. First of all, watch your mouth. I don't have on a tie, but I do have on a blazer and a collared shirt, number one. And number two, I need you to take the left part of your collar and I need you to stick it under your jacket. Okay, under your jacket. Don't have your collar sticking out of the jacket. Make sure it's under the jacket. There you go.
Maybe not an adult, like a teen. I look like a teen.
All right, guys. Are the Browns, Dan, I'm starting with you. Are the Browns the biggest disappointment this season?
Absolutely, because disappointment comes from expectations. And the expectation for this football team 7 weeks ago, certainly for me, was go win this division. This was the best team roster-wise in the AFC North. Go win this division and show me that you are going to be the team that dethrones the Kansas City Chiefs. Because going into the season, I had said, well, the Chiefs are still the champs, and at least in their conference, and the Buffalo Bills are the team that is most equipped to go knock them off. And then I thought the Browns were right there. And this is a 3-3 team right now with a 6-0 roster. Like I said, this is the most expensive roster in the NFL offensively. Now, their offense has been okay, and I understand that they're dealing with injuries and Baker's shoulder has been an issue, but how about this defense? Myles Garrett is one of the highest paid defensive players in football. John Johnson, the safety they brought over from the Rams, is one of the highest paid safeties in football. They have four top 2 round draft picks on this defense in the secondary in the last 2 years. This defense has got 47 hung on them, 37 hung on them, and 33 hung on them. This was a defense that was a weakness last year that was supposed to be made into a strength this offseason. The expectations for this football team were Super Bowl contender. Now, I'm not jumping off the bandwagon. Let me make myself clear. I've rocked with Baker. I believe in the Browns. I love their coach. I still do. But the reality is, as we sit here today, this team is the most disappointing team in the NFL, given what the expectations were coming into this season.
Oh, please. I mean, you're so emotional right now. I can't believe I'm telling you that you're so emotional. But you truly, truly are. I don't know about everybody else, but who was questioning the Cleveland Browns? That would be me. I was never sold on them.
I will give you that.
I was never sold on them. Thank you very much, yes, Molly. I was never sold on the Cleveland Browns, Dan Orlovsky. You know who everybody else was talking about? Because when we looked at Cleveland, we said, okay, Pittsburgh might have some trouble, but the Baltimore Ravens were going to be there. We knew that, right? We could look at Kansas City. We didn't expect them to be 3-3, but they are 3-3 right now. They're a 500 team, and they're the reigning AFC champions, and their defense is trash, at least thus far, even though I got faith in the Honey Badger. But the bottom line is they need to do some work there. I'm going to bring up a team that I can't believe you missed. We were talking about the AFC East. We didn't even talk about New England. We said Buffalo and Miami.
Yeah.
Miami's 1-5, bro.
Yeah.
They've lost 5 straight. They look like they have nothing. And now not only that, there's news circulating that they may try to acquire Deshaun Watson from Houston this week. Okay. So when you look at them, we got an organization led by Brian Flores, who we've been very, very high on. Chris Greer, an African-American, being a GM, I'm proud of him. And we had there were big expectations. Their defense was supposed to be all that. We were looking at the Miami Dolphins, and we were saying they were the team that was going to compete with the Buffalo Bills for AFC East supremacy. They are 1-5. They are one of the worst football teams in the National Football League. Their quarterback, it seems like they're pretty much already given up on Tua Tagovailoa. I'm like, when I think disappointment, Miami comes to my mind.
First of all, Stephen A., I watched yesterday. I watched your show yesterday and how you call me emotional when I watched you talk about the Lakers after week 1, thinking, oh my gosh, I got concerns about the Lakers, okay? I am not being emotional about the Browns. Now, my expectations were the Dolphins were to contend for a playoff team. I thought they would contend. Right. My expectations for the Browns were you can get to the AFC Championship game. Again, look at the roster makeup. The fact that the Dolphins have still a very young offensive line, the Browns got the best offensive line in football. The Dolphins have a young but emerging skill group. I think the Browns have one of the better skill groups in football. They got the best tailback tandem in football.
Well,
so the expectations for the Browns were to be stinking awesome.
But let me come to you with this. You have expectations of them going to the AFC Championship game. I'm saying as we sit here today, that's still possible. We had expectations of the Miami Dolphins competing for the AFC East and going to the playoffs. This season is already over.
Right.
You see the extreme?
In
other words, there's still a chance to hold on to Cleveland. We looking at Miami and it's like, it's wholesale changes that are imminent. They're not going anywhere.
They also had to play 3+ games without their quarterback, Miami.
Okay, I got you.
Cleveland has had Baker Mayfield basically every snap this season. So that's got to factor into this conversation as well. I'm not saying that
Jarvis
Miami,
Landry or Odell Beckham Jr. for the most part. Back and forth, both were missing.
I'm not saying Miami's not disappointing. There are other disappointing teams in the NFL. But the most disappointing, given where we are 6 weeks into this season, with what the expectations were 6 or 7 weeks ago, is a runaway the Cleveland Browns. Again, this was a team that we were in. You didn't have high expectations for the Browns this year?
No, that's what you're not listening to.
Well,
listen, you are the guy. Listen. You're incredibly brilliant on the game of football. That's, part of the way I get my knowledge from watching you and just knowing how to disagree with you because, my goodness, I just don't buy what you selling sometimes. But I know you know what the hell you're talking about. But the thing about it, Dan Orlovsky, I've discovered something about him, Molly.
What?
Dan's a bit, dare I say biased? Dare I say a bit soft when it comes to judging certain quarterbacks? He is very much inclined to give dudes the benefit of the doubt. And that's what he was doing about Baker Mayfield. I haven't been sold. I've never been sold because I knew what he was going against in the AFC.
Dan, do you have a soft spot towards quarterbacks?
Yes, he does. He does have a soft spot for quarterbacks.
Because we don't know what it's like.
Does.
Could you please answer that?
All right, first of all, I am not soft, Stephen A.
Second of all, soft spot. Come on, that's what I'm talking about.
No, because I live in a world where everyone thinks quarterbacks are great or they suck. And there's no gray area in between. Part of my job is to make sure that people understand quarterback is a dependent position. And there are varying levels of quarterbacks. Some guys are incredible. Some guys are really good. Some guys are okay. And so, that's part of my job is try to get people to understand it's not black or white.
It's part of your job to quote people accurately because I never said that Baker Mayfield stunk. What I said was he's exactly that, middle of the road. And when you look at Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, and Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert and the crew, even Joe Burrow. I said there's too many quarterbacks in the same conference that are better than him to be elevating Cleveland to that stratosphere. And you didn't listen. And you know better.
I'm not disagreeing with you on what he is as a player, but you're crazy to think that the team, the NFL roster that has the most expensive offense, one of the most expensive defensive linemen, one of the most expensive secondary players, and 4 top 2 round draft picks in the last 2 NFL drafts, to not have high expectations of them strictly because you think their quarterback is good, not great, is ridiculous. This team's that's ridiculous.
How you gonna say it's ridiculous when I'm sitting here right and you're wrong? I told you what Cleveland was going to be, and I'm right now. You're the one that's ridiculous.
Real quick, we got to get a commercial break. Dan, no Nick Chubb, no Kareem Hunt tonight. Can the Browns win with Case Keenum?
Absolutely. This game's got to be about the Browns tight ends. Jadeveon Clowney, Myles Garrett, Denzel Ward. You want the big money? You got to show up. You got to show up, defense.
He's right about that. By the way, did you see Dan put up his 4 fingers, Molly?
No.
His nails look longer than yours. Is that me? Is that? Just check. I'm just checking.
I think it's the screen.
It's the screen.
But I kind of see what you saw. It looks like he had Halloween
looked like he had long nails.
It was just a shadow.
It scared me.
They do. Why do they look so weird?
I'm just checking.
I don't know.
All right.
Oh, it's a green screen. That's why.
I'm just checking.
Okay. So the come on first take. It did look very Halloweenish. Why do you observe everything? You were raised by women. He has problems. Okay.